I am Geoffrey in a Khwarezm Shark campaign in Broken Crescent version 2.3.2 on very hard, and I'm rushing through gameplay to get to the Mongol event for some tests. In the meantime, I will be posting the campaign highlights. Nearly all our conquests were accomplished by the faction heir Sajadeh Mohammed, with an army consisting mainly of mounted archers who were tribespeople, mercenary tribespeople. However, he's now running low on horse archer mechs. There aren't any in these parts.
Yes, Sultan. We close for battle.
So he is attacking some depleted units. Here they are, outside Quetta. And inside Quetta is the Sultan of the Malikate of Sind. He's the only garrison inside Quetta. So this is our chance to take Quetta relatively easily. We have the advantage.
One of us shall fail to keep all in battle.
As there are no horse archers in these parts to recruit, Sajadeh has recruited some light Pashtun cavalry who are swordsmen. They're not very good for very much, but they can engage in melee with an army, a cavalry unit that's already engaged in melee. They can attack such a unit in the rear. There they have some something of a chance. They're also good at chasing down retreating units. So here we are spreading out our army. Unfortunately, it's a very mountainous area. So we're setting some units up these hills here, and the enemy is down below. So we want to deny them the chance of taking the high ground. So we're sending our cavalry first up here on the hills. You can see the enemy army is down below, and they have decided not to try and take the hill. They have for some reason decided to attack us in battle. So they are sending that unit forward. It's a skirmishing cavalry unit. I can't remember if they're horse archers or javeliners. And they are heading for our Sajadeh, who is that immobile unit you see on the right. So we're sending other units to skirmish around them to force them to retreat. So there's a cavalry unit here skirmishing. I think these are in fact heavy melee. They are cataphract lancers. So the enemy horse archers who have changed their mind, our cataphract lancers, are about to charge some of the infantry of the enemy army. Presumably these are skirmishers. They look like javeliners. They could be an archer unit. They've been engaged in melee. Our other army is shooting at those enemy horsemen who haven't taken any casualties so far. Maybe they've lost one or two horsemen, but they're still doing okay considering that everyone is firing at them. And we lost a couple of horsemen ourselves in that melee with the enemy, whatever they were, archers or something. I mean, that was heavy cataphract cavalry. We lost about 2 or 3 horsemen. Never mind. So eventually the enemy horse archers have retreated. The enemy is left mainly with these 2 units here. There's one unit that looks like it's also retreating, another one, no, they are both in good order. They are chasing our cavalry, it seems. And we are skirmishing around these units.
Only half the enemy force remains. We must pray they lose their will to fight.
So the enemy Sultan, the Sultan of the Malikate of Sind, is coming our way, but he's doing so very slowly. You can see him there in the distance up on that hill slope, that mountain slope. In the meantime, we're skirmishing around the enemy units here. One horseman is still surviving, an enemy horseman. He's charging one of our units. There he is, you see him in the center. And this unit is running off. We are shooting arrows at him. Die, please die. He's chasing our cataphract lancers anyway. So we're against him in melee. Seems we're losing more men from our own friendly fire than the enemy is losing from our fire, because the enemy units are so small and depleted, hardly anybody gets killed.
They have cut off the serpent's head. Enemy general is slain. Let's see how these snakes fight without their head.
Okay, finally we've slain the enemy general. Well, he was a captain. He was Captain Khwarezm. And so the enemy Sultan is here now. Here he is. With his bodyguard in yellow, the color of the Malachite of Sind. They look very glorious. Here he is, with his wonderful ornamented shield. Here he is in slow motion, so we can admire his beautiful bodyguard unit with the beautifully knitted horse caparisons, the beautiful decorated shield of. So the Sultan himself has a very beautiful shield studded with precious stones, very shiny, very nicely made. And of course, they are a lancer unit. They are confronting an army of horse archers. We only have one lancer unit ourselves. So I cut a lot of that short. He suffered a lot of casualties. Eventually, we ran out of arrows, and so our general here has charged downhill at the enemy Sultan. So this is our heir, our prince, Shahzadeh Mohammed, and he's fighting the Sultan of the Malachite of Sind, a very glorious duel. The enemy Sultan is at the center. He has this red scarf around his neck. We're firing at the rear of this unit with some horse archers who still have arrows left.
Victory is well within our grasp. In time, our foe will surely see this and lose heart. All praise to Allah. You have left our enemy lost. They run like children. Scour them from the field.
Okay, and the enemy unit has been routed, I think. Didn't we kill the Sultan there? Maybe it wasn't him. Yes, it was him. So, we just killed the enemy Sultan. Raja Khaira the Tolerant.
Victory is ours. A victory both righteous and well-deserved. It cannot be said otherwise.
So, we lost 36 men. The enemy lost their entire armies. Of course, we have taken Quetta as a result of this. A very glorious victory. I need to do something in my gameplay here. I'm going to put the movie events when someone gets killed, general or whatever, gets killed in battle. I'm going to put those events back because we miss the points where someone gets killed. Actually, he wasn't the enemy Sultan, he was the faction heir. We offered him up for ransom, I think. Or did we slaughter the enemy?
Allah has granted us victory!
In any case, he was ransomed. We've destroyed the enemy army, so we're going to take Quetta. So here's Shahzadeh Mohammed. He is slightly chivalrous. He has 2 chivalry points.
An honorable battle. Alhamdulillah! Your faith and courage have triumphed! These are now our people's lands!
We sack all our settlements because we need money to build our empire. We have no other income, very few building projects going on, there's no money for anything. And so if you remember, the Ghurids have attacked us. They attacked Bukhara, and so we decided to counterattack, and we've attacked an army that was outside Herat, one of their settlements here in the west of their dominions, and we are vastly outnumbered. We have a lot of skirmishing cavalry. So this is another one of our generals. It's called Malik Shah, I think. And he's another prince, and he's attacking that very large army of the enemy. We're vastly outnumbered in terms of numbers, but the enemy is mostly infantry. On the other hand, they have some heavy infantry, And they also have plenty of cavalry. They have some horse archers and some lancers. So here are some of the Kabuli axemen. There's a light, capable, however, unit. There are some Lashkar ambushers. This is a good archer unit. They have these noble tribesmen. This is a medium cavalry unit. Okay, so here's our army. We're going into battle.
We shall all find a way to an honorable victory!
And the garrison consists of 2 units of cavalry and a unit of infantry. The 2 units of cavalry are very good. It's a unit of junior Gulam archers. It's a very good medium mounted archer unit.
The winds of fate have turned against us. The foe seems to be winning the battle.
Okay, doesn't look good at the moment. They also have another general inside Herat. So in terms of cavalry, there's a match, more or less.
Think of the cruelties the enemy will do to your wives and children. When you have thought on this, take up the sword!
Okay, we needed that inspiring speech because the odds are, this time, the odds are against us. So we're more or less matched in terms of cavalry. We have slightly more horse archers.
Units, await my orders!
But we are outnumbered in terms of lancers. The enemy has more lancers. And the enemy has a lot more infantry.
The enemy show their cowardice. They bring in reinforcements.
Now, this may have been a mistake, the fact that I put my army in a corner. There was a hill here, so I was hoping I could use the hill and I could hide some of my infantry and some of my cavalry to surprise the enemy. But you can see how vast the enemy army is. And here's another thing. You see there's a farm on the right? That's very interesting. There are some farms here. You find sometimes farms on tiles that are next to settlements, but not further off. I don't know if that's always the case in all games and mods, medieval sort of games and mods. I thought you could find some in the countryside, but I may be wrong. Maybe all the farms are next to settlements or in settlements, around settlements, on the tiles that contain the settlements. So anyway, so here we are skirmishing with some of our horse archers. Our lancers are hiding. The enemy has 1 horse archer unit. I think that's an enemy unit, or maybe it's our unit. There's one that had a circle, was in a circle and shoot type. I think that's an enemy cavalry unit. Yeah, they're Gurids. And so they have skirmishing cavalry and they have plenty of lancers. You can see some of the lancers approaching. That's Turkoman tribal cavalry. So nearly all the horse archers in this game are tribal units, and so you can only hire them as mercs. There are some heavy units and golems that are trained in barracks and stables, but all the light ones are tribal units. You can find the countryside and hire them as mercs. And so here we have some of our own tribes people fighting as mercs. Here is our army hiding in the woods. We only have a unit of javelin men and a unit of heavy axemen. The axemen are excellent, but they're only a very small unit. And here we have some more cavalry. We are about to pounce on the enemy. These are... we have some melee units. I think we also have some Pashtun Lashkar, light cavalry of that region. But we're so outnumbered in terms of lances that we have a hard time developing our attack because we keep getting harassed by enemy melee cavalry. So this is another problem here. It's hard to tell who is who because all the units around here are very similar. These guys in front of us are our own here. They are Khwarezmian cataphract or half cataphract lancers. In the end, we're badly defeated. I had a hard time macromanaging. It was a terrible battle. We kept being attacked by the enemy lancers and the enemy infantry. There was no room for skirmishing, and eventually, one after one, our units started retreating. You can see our Sogdian axemen were routed. They were pounced upon by all the enemy infantry that was surrounded, attacked in the rear by cavalry and so on. They couldn't hold their ground. Eventually, we were left with some horse archers. They tried to do the best they could. The enemy also had horse archers. It was very hard, and eventually everyone just left the field of battle. So I just routed them out of the battle. So they abandoning the field of battle, trying to save as many of those horsemen as I can. It was a terrible battle.
We have gained only blood and shame from this battle.
Blood and
Our
shame.
accursed enemy rejoices amongst the blood of our fallen.
So now then, I lose battles. That was a terrible defeat. It was a disaster. We had some lancers of our own, you can see. And those Persian Deccan lancers actually did very well. It's just a disaster. So, our General Melik Shah actually gained morale for all troops on the battlefield, +2 after this battle. Who knows why? It would have been nice if you had that morale before the battle started, that morale increase. So we are in position 8, I think. Our prisoners were executed. The Gurids executed our prisoners, the very nasty Gurids. So here they are.
My ears are yours. Your corpse will be thrown to the dogs.
Now that added salt into our injuries. Your corpse will be thrown to the dogs. So here's the enemy general with his Ghulam junior archers that was a part of the garrison. So at this point, I really had it, and I thought, that's the end of the Gurids.
An honor to serve.
So you lose a battle, and then they insult you like this. And so I decided to go full blast against the Gurids. So the Gurids were attacking our fortress here, Bukhara. We have a decent garrison, and the enemy army is mostly horse archers.
Leave these lands, infidel, or I shall remove you.
Is that army that had attacked us before?
The infidel's army will not survive.
If you remember, all the horse archers survived because they didn't take part in the battle, but all their infantry was destroyed. So they hired some more infantry, or maybe they rallied those that survived. There you see them on the right. There's one unit of infantry, and they've come back, and they have plenty of cavalry and 2 generals. But they're attacking all this cavalry, they're attacking a fortress. Of course, if we went out in the open, it would be dead meat. So we had to fight them in some clever way. We have the advantage in numbers.
Give the infidel nothing, you say, except death.
But if we go out into the open, we're dead. So we have to fight them near the walls. So what we've done is we put a unit of archers outside, and the enemy sent their horse archers to skirmish. And of course we have other archers behind on the walls, and so these other archers are firing at the enemy horse archers. And although the enemy horse archers have formed shooting circles, some of those units at least have formed shooting circles, they're so close to each other that the shooting circle isn't probably helping them too much. And we are firing at the units that haven't formed shooting circles, the ones around here. The unit of foot archers we put out near the gate is taking heavy casualties, but overall our enemy is losing more men than we are losing. I don't know if a real general would have made this mistake to come so close to the walls with horse archers. That's the advantage of being human. I guess a real general would not have made the mistake of attacking a fortress with just cavalry and a small unit of javelin men. So here are those Karahitai archers that I put outside. It's a nice unit. Very nice, I like them. Unfortunately, they got completely destroyed. It's not a unit that I can retrain, unfortunately. So those that are dead have died forever. I cannot retrain that unit. Very sad. So you can see we lost a lot of those Karahitai archers, but the enemy lost a lot more horsemen. And so now we're thinking of going out to attack them in the open. So the Karahitai archers are going back out. They want to entice the enemy to come near to the walls once again, although our own archers at this point are running low on arrows. So they've spread out. We still have archers on the walls. Well, I think this wall has been emptied. Okay, we still have some archers with arrows, these ones here. So the enemy cavalry has come close to the walls again. We're also shooting them from the towers. So the towers get activated and they are shooting at the enemy. So they are contributing to the enemy casualties. Now all the enemy cavalry units are forming shooting circles. That's very inconvenient. But at least 3 of the shooting circles are overlapping, so they are a good target. And so the enemy retreated eventually. I can't remember the whole battle. It was a draw in any case. I'm not sure what happened. Is this the same battle? In any case, nothing happened. They just stayed there. In the meantime, we went on to attack this other town, this city called Balkh. And it was defended very thinly. It was very thinly guarded. Here's, by the way, the situation around Constantinople. We are in the year 1202, I think, or 1203. That was 1202 before. This is 1203. So some crusaders have laid siege on Constantinople. So this is a very historic event, of course. It was the Fourth Crusade. And there were some scripted events, but not very many. I think there were only like this one and the Mongols, as far as I remember, in the previous version, and in version 2.4. Buff and Shine has added some more scripted historical invasions. Here's another situation. For some reason, Malekith of Sin has brought all kinds of assassins around the frontier, the cities that I've taken from them, the towns that we've taken from them. And so it looks like the Shah has died, our king has died. And whenever the king dies, we get this event, Tolerate Other Faiths. We have the opportunity to have a more tolerant policy towards other faiths. So, faction leader dies. Shah Tekish, the horseman, has died. So, Shahzadeh Mohammed is now our king. So here again, all those assassins of the Malekith of Sind. The Ghaznavids have probably become a vassal state of the Paramara Rajputs, and they've made truce with the Chauhan Rajputs. We are hiring some units in our settlements around Kievan, Bukhara, mainly, in preparation for the Mongols. They are still about 15 years off, so it's not a big hurry, but we can start recruiting units. So we have some new buildings. Mostly there are repairs of damaged buildings in the places we've conquered. So we have a new faction leader now, Shah Muhammad. And there's other events, especially around Utman Kunji. His situation in Quetta, we are hiring some light units because we need garrisons here. We're still struggling to get some light cavalry, some horse archers. We're now the largest faction, but even though we're very large as an empire, overall we're only 8th, because we're really very weak militarily. We just have a couple of units per settlement as garrisons, you can see here. So here, this is our core region, so here we're strong. So this is a fortress, this is another strong area. It's been attacked by the Cumans, so we have a lot of units around here. But if you go further away, for example Merv, we only have 4 units, really 3 units here. Then in Mashhad, the nearby town, we only have 3 units. Here we have some depleted units, some of them are okay. The ones that are okay are super light, they cost nothing, almost, they have very little upkeep. So these ones you see here, we have like 4 or 5 units, they have very low upkeep. And here's another conquered settlement. So you see there's like 3 or 4 units. Here at Tus we're approaching, oh here no, there was some cavalry in Tus. But a lot of the units are very depleted, so the units in bulk are very depleted. These are the units we just conquered bulk. And we have a very depleted army, but we must push on. And the Cumans are once again attacking Khiva. And if I remember correctly, I won't show you this battle, it went like the other ones. Or maybe I'll show it later, I can't remember what happened. So there was another battle here against a small army of the Malkate of Sind. That army has been routed.
Your faith and courage have triumphed!
Oh, Shah is now Shah Muhammad. He just won another field battle. He defeated some enemy units out in the country. But you can see he's running low on men, and there's no one to recruit in these parts. There are no mercenaries in these areas, no horse archers. Very hard to get anybody to help us in our campaign. So his campaign has really grown to a halt. His lancers are down to 16 men. We will continue in the next episode. Thank you for watching.
Better